Yay!
Woohoo!
Welcome on this fine Monday Eve to MCU Mondays, the Geek News Now show where we talk all about the MCU, Marvel, the streaming shows, the different phases, all the good stuff, the heroes, the villains, sometimes the rumors. We always try to make sure we say when it is a rumor, but anything and everything to do with the MCU, we talk about it here. I'm your host, Chris. I'm here with my co-host, Debbie, and we got David with us, as we very often do. Debbie, how are you doing today?
Good. Ready to talk about Thor.
Yeah, for a Monday, it's feeling awful a lot like Thor's Day. Okay, now that that's
I
out
wish
of the
it
way.
was Thor's Day.
Feeling like another Thor's Day. Whoa. Anyway, David, how you doing?
I'm good. Good.
Good. All right. And we are talking about Thor today because we're in a little bit of a drought as far as the MCU is concerned, because normally we're talking about whatever episode of the streaming show has come out, whatever movie has come out most recently. But since the end of Hawkeye, we're kind of just waiting. We're just waiting on the next thing, which was going to be Doctor Strange. That's now been pushed back. Now we know it's going to be Moon Knight, but we still got to wait until the end of March for that one. So until then, we're just going to be taking our time, going back, looking at the MCU from a couple different perspectives, what we already have so far. We've been looking at heroes. So we started by looking at Iron Man, obviously. Then we went to Captain America. Today is all about Thor. If you want to get in on the comments, make sure you tell us what you think about the different movies, about the different heroes, and you can tell us what you want to talk about next week, because that is wide open as of right now. So for all that and more, that's what we're here doing today on this wonderful MCU Monday. We are talking about Thor. With that in mind, let's take it to the theme song.
Theme song guy.
Oh, yeah! It's MCU Mondays on Geek News Now. We're talking about Marvel, Geek News Now. Movies and TV, the comics, news, other opinions, breaking news and reviews. It's Geek News Now. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. So I hope everyone got a chance to rewatch some Thor, or at least rewatch your favorite one, something like that. I hope you've all seen the different Thor movies. Whatever your opinion on them, I don't think any of them are bad. Okay, they're all definitely worth seeing. And I actually rewatched the first one and getting ready for this, and I was surprised I had forgotten just how much character growth he went through in that one film. I think maybe because back then they weren't sure exactly like how much they were going to get to do, so they were like, here's a fully like hero's journey in this one film, because we don't know if we're going to get to do like Thor 2, Thor 3, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously the Avengers was a hit and they're like, we're doing it all.
Now we're waiting on Thor 4.
Yep. Love and Thunder. And the
later this year.
return of Jane, and somebody's blown up.
That would be me.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay.
I'm so popular.
You went ding, ding, ding with Jane? Wow.
Ding, ding, ding. And she might be taking over as Thor. Who knows? That we're going to be seeing. And maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy, because he's hanging out with them. And he started journeying with them all the way up, in Infinity War. But now he's continuing that journey. But just in Thor 1, he does start off as this incredibly arrogant, petulant. That's what I was really noticing when I was rewatching. I was like, he's just yelling at Odin too. He doesn't even, it's one thing to like yell at your enemies and be like, but he's like, you're a stupid old man and blah, 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 blah. And so it really is important for him to get taken down those pegs and to learn what it's like to not have power. And that's why that's one of those sayings is like the person best suited for power is someone who like either doesn't want it or, seeks it not. And so it's the power that you have is the power to protect. And that's also what they say about Mjolnir. Mew Mew.
You mean
Never has there been a weapon with such, power to destroy and also to build, because it is a hammer. You can do multiple things with that. But yeah, he gets everything stripped away from him, sent down, and he's still super cocky when he's on Earth. He's been knocked out a couple times, even after they've drugged him several times and he's gotten knocked out. He's still this super cocky guy, and he beats up all their secret agents. And Coulson's even like, okay, all those guys are super well trained, so I gotta figure you've also had training. But he doesn't know that he's like a Norse god. Nobody does. So it's just great. For then, at that point, he realizes, and he thinks his father's dead. So he lost all his power. He thinks he's never going home, and his father's dead. So it's like, now that you've lost everything, and that's another saying. It's like an old samurai, or you can't. If the cup is already full, how can you learn anything? Like so you have to pour out the cup before you can fill it. So everything you think you have to empty yourself of that before you can.
Maybe something along the lines of, you must unlearn what you have learned.
You must unlearn what you have learned. Yeah,
he's right behind you.
Because Yoda is the man, and he's the ultimate master. And so, absolutely, that's exactly kind of. So he has to forget this. He's been destined for the throne forever. Forget about that. It's not yours just because you were born into it. You have to earn that. So Thor 1. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
I think too it helped add to it to where he thought, because Loki came down and said, "Hey, look, Odin's dead. He's gone. And I'm running things, but his dying wish was to keep you banished. Don't make me go against the All-Father, blah, 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 blah." And I think that helped a lot too, because it wasn't one of those things where he said, okay, I can regain this. I can get it back. I'll still maintain my cockiness, but I'll be able to get it back. He was actually not only knocked down a peg, but he didn't think he was ever going to either get back or be back or nothing. And especially when he beat up all those guys and he went to go get Mjolnir and he couldn't pick it up. And I think that was when he knew, okay, at this point I am defeated. I've lost everything and I'm not going to get it back.
Yeah, he was like your typical rich kid who's been given everything, every opportunity, what have you. And he had to be knocked down, had to learn a little humility, or a lot in his case. And yeah, he's still cocky throughout the rest of the movies, but he's toned it down.
Yeah. That's just confidence based on his own strength, which he understands. It's not so much an arrogance. It's not necessarily like, I'm better than everyone just because I'm Thor. Now, am I stronger than you? Yes, probably. But does that make me like just innately better? Not necessarily. He learns more that regular people are worth protecting. Everything, like all these things, that's what his power is for the protection of that stuff. As opposed to like Loki, which is very interesting too, because he is finding out that he's not actually Asgardian. I don't know how long he knew that, but it seems to happen in the movie where he's like, what's happening to me? What's going on? And then he finds out that he's actually the son of a frost giant. And it's like, and then he says things like, I never wanted the throne. And it's like, well,
liar.
Well, yeah. And then Thor, and that's the interesting thing, is because he says things like that, but then Thor, pretty much everything Thor does is earnest. Now, whether he's arrogant and once he learns from that, he's still like earnest and forthright. Like he's not shifty. He's not tricksome. He just is blunt, if you will, much like his hammer. And Loki's the exact opposite. So Thor never really lies, especially not in like this first movie. Now, when he has other movies and he has to deal with Loki more and fight fire with fire, so to speak, yeah, he does do some things to trick Loki. But that's just upon messing with what Loki expected him to be. And I think it's even in Ragnarok where he says, Loki, you're never going to change, are you? And then obviously we have some changes that come to Loki. Boom. Hit so hard it knocked out my internet connection.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Try to knock it back in. Is that what you did?
Let's go see if it would happen again. It did happen again. That clip is just deadly.
It's Loki.
Look out. Yeah, Loki's messing with stuff. Anyway, but so there's huge growth, I think, just in that first movie of Thor that actually takes him from just being this super strong still, but super arrogant, kind of character to now being a character with great strength who's trying to also use that for a good purpose, not just he didn't appreciate his own strength before.
And something else too, just because it's there, this is our first look at now I've lost my train of thought. The Infinity Stones. This was when we get our first Infinity Stone, because we had
had the Tesseract before that.
Well, yeah, but it was at the end of the no, the Tesseract came in the Captain America First Avenger, and that came after this first Thor movie. Mm-mm. But then no, when
and the end credits of this one, they had the Tesseract already in the box.
That's where we first see the Tesseract.
That was the first time you see the Tesseract? I thought they had already done Captain America, and he already had.
No, Captain America came after Thor. Because remember, the end credit scene for Captain America was the Avengers trailer, basically.
Oh yeah, okay. So yes, and then another time they show a Infinity Gauntlet in that same treasure room.
A fake.
Even though they later call that a fake, yeah. So.
Well, we don't find that out till the third movie, but
although that raises the question of if he made this for Thanos, if Thanos went to there and had it made specifically for that, why was there another Infinity Gauntlet ever? And if he's the first one that ever, no one has ever had the, 2 Infinity Stones before. That's what the sorcerer dude says when he gives him the Space Stone. And why was there even a fake? Why is there another Infinity Gauntlet other than the, what? Just so you could say fake? Uh-oh.
Well, and a lot of people, too, they get thrown off because you had one of the end scenes for Age of Ultron where Thanos comes in, he puts the glove on, and he's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And there was a lot of people that was saying, well, shoot, that was Odin's armory room that he was in. He was in there, and he got the gauntlet just because the backgrounds and everything else was the same. But then that gauntlet is still there at Ragnarok.
And it's also
in fact,
in a chamber thing that's at the size of a fist.
Right, and chances are, too, that
on a pedestal.
When he got Ragnarok, or when Ragnarok happened, when they destroyed Asgard, it probably went with it. That the fake gauntlet.
As far as I know, the only thing that survived was the Tesseract, and that's because Loki stole that when he was down there.
You are truly
setting off the bomb. Yeah. No, we don't have it. It was destroyed with Asgard. Yeah.
There's the boner alert.
Snicker, snicker, snicker.
That's not a boner alert. That's when the creators of the show do something wrong. When the characters make a mistake, that's fine.
Oh, that's fine. They're allowed to.
They're allowed to. It's if in writing that mistake the writers mess up that we call it a boner alert. They still have time to redeem that one. That's the thing about a boner alert. It can always be redeemed. They can come back in Multiverse of Madness and be like, Ralph Boner, is that you? And he's like, switch. No, I'm actually this, because it would be totally stupid for me just to be a boner joke. Marvel. So there's a chance for redemption there in Doctor Strange. We'll have to see. Anyhow, I think Thor 2, and of course he was in Avengers. It's fun to see them all interacting. You're also tiny. it's good to see those combo moves when they're taking down him and Hulk taking down one of those Leviathan things. Good time when the Hulk just punches him in the face. You know, this is all good stuff.
Okay, so and honestly, that was one of my favorite things. One, because Hulk and Thor, you've got these two Marvel characters, and these are probably my favorite two Marvel characters as far as Thor and Hulk, and they're getting along. But it also dates back to the old Bill Bixby show, The Incredible Hulk Returns, and in that one, Thor was the guest superhero. They brought Thor in for this for the Incredible Hulk, and that was one of the big things. Was he was always like, "Oh, bring your troll out, Banner, so that we can fight and have great glorious battles." And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then when they did that in the Avengers, and they had this we're gonna have a fight to see who's better. I'm looking at it going, oh, it's gotta be. It's an Easter egg. It's gotta be. It's so good. It's perfect. I love it.
In that saying, the entirety of Asgard is like one city and a bridge. Well, they also live to be thousands of years old, so
they're basically.
It's a big city too. I don't know if you've seen exactly how big that is.
You should stay out of this one, Cap. They're basically gods. There's only one God, ma'am, and he doesn't dress like that.
Dress like that. Oh, does he dress like it's the 1940s? You get the fashion changes, right, Cap? Get out of here. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
Shakespeare in the Park?
Shakespeare in the Park. Oh yeah. So the interaction between all of them is a lot of fun, and so that's Thor still at a time. He hasn't even done the Dark World. He hasn't done Ragnarok, and the biggest change comes obviously with Infinity War. That's when he really gets hit the hardest. After Ragnarok, when he loses all those people, and then Infinity War, that starts out with his entire. I don't even know how there's anyone left from Asgard because his entire ship gets blown up. I don't know. Maybe there was an escape pod, and that's how they found New Asgard or what. I don't know. The universe is a big place. I guess there was enough other Asgardians out there to populate a small town
in Nebraska or wherever
Newfoundland. It wasn't Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
It's like where the Vikings used to hang out. Denmark or something.
Norway.
Norway.
Danish. Wherever the Danish comes from. If that wasn't offensive to anyone, I'd be very surprised. But yeah, so they found a new little. But it's going to be hard for them to repopulate, or at least it's going to take a while, I assume, because again, when you live to be thousands of years old, they must be a while in between births, or else you'd have a ridiculous population. Anyway, yeah, he immediately, once he actually becomes king of Asgard, just goes through a horrific series of losses, which is why I was always so confused with why Ragnarok was somehow the funniest in tone of all three, because like the Dark World, it was dark, like visually muted. It wasn't, I think a big problem is it wasn't like exciting enough as much. And
I think it took itself too seriously. And you were dealing with a villain that was like one of the most obscure. I mean, you could have found a better something for Thor to go up against, other dark elves.
Well, they had to find a way to bring in another infinity. It's not exactly a stone, but they had to find another way to bring that in.
But then I think Ragnarok didn't take itself seriously enough. He loses his father, and they just make a joke out of it. He's like, "You lost your hammer, you lost your father." And I'm not saying it's not funny, but when we talk about like the connectivity of the MCU, it's almost like a different personality is put now. And maybe it's just he's dealing with grief with humor, and that's part of it. And that's how, but there's just a lot more slapsticky stuff. There's a lot more comedy in general, not just with him, but also with side characters, but also very much with him. You know, he's got to fight the Hulk, and he's just like, yeah, because, well, I mean, yeah, he thinks he's on his side, but still, you've been thrown out of Asgard. Your sister that you found out it just exists is taking over. You don't seem to be concerned about any of this stuff. I don't know.
Well, he's
It's all just a
concerned about
joke.
getting back and trying to stop Ragnarok, but got to deal with other crap.
Yeah, I do like when Loki comes in and talks to him, and he throws like a rock through him, and the rock dude Korg comes out and it's like, "Piss off, ghost." I mean, I like Korg. I do like these things. It's such a. Maybe that's how he should have been all along. You know, maybe that's the level of. But I don't think that would have fit with the other two movies necessarily. David, I don't know what happened, but I can't hear you.
How about now?
I can hear you now.
There we go. I don't think it would have fit with the first one at all, because we had talked about growth and all that stuff, and you can't really experience a serious growth or a serious hero's journey, if you will, when you're relying too much on the comedy. You know, having jokes in there and being comical, like when he drinks the coffee and he's like, "I'll have another," throws the cup down. Don't do that. Just ask. I just did.
I just did.
I mean, yeah, there were funny parts in it, and that made it lighthearted. Now, Dark World, there wasn't much of anything.
Most of the
amusing
humor
about
from that one came just from like Darcy. They were just like,
Darcy.
"Hey,
Yeah.
people were a fan of your bits in the beginning. We're just gonna pump you up to 11. You're our comic relief in this movie, and have fun."
Maybe.
And some things with Selvig because he was literally going insane, and they were just like, "Hey, remember that guy? We'll just have him naked by Stonehenge, and that'll be that's good for a laugh, right?"
Maybe Loki a little bit too. Just
Oh yeah,
some
well
of his
when he was
interactions.
Captain America,
Yeah.
didn't he do a Captain America impression?
Feels so patriotic.
So patriotic. Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't. Again, none of these are bad movies. You know, I'll sit down, but it's hard to get me like pumped up for Thor 2. It's more like I guess
I'll watch it
I'm
because
at
I
that
have
point
to.
in the trilogy. You know, it's like, but it's not like I'd go out of my way to be like, you know what, you've got to see Thor 2. Nah. And Thor 3, I would definitely say, with the humor, just because it feels different, again, doesn't make it bad. Just feels different, almost out of place. But it works well for that movie. There is a lot of fun in that movie, and the humor in it was stuff that I usually enjoyed.
I have been falling for 30 minutes.
and you know, honestly, something else about that movie with the Hulk being in it and everything, it was they were able to do, because they haven't done a Hulk movie since The Incredible Hulk, the one with Ed Norton in it. So to bring in aspects of Planet Hulk and kind of do a thing around where it's like, okay, we're gonna focus off Thor for a few minutes and focus on Hulk. Where's he been and what's he been doing? And you know, we're having a mini Hulk movie within the Thor movie. So that was another,
because otherwise he's just gonna have to show up at some point because he's been gone. We don't know why, but yeah, and incorporating aspects of Planet Hulk, which is the comic fans' favorite. I know a lot of people are big fans of that. So even just having that teasing of it, because it certainly was not the Planet Hulk storyline, other than Hulk in a gladiatorial arena on an alien planet. In so much as that, yes, broad strokes. But yeah, him fighting Thor, that was a lot of fun. Loki watching them fight when he gets smashed, and he's like, "That's how it feels.
That's how it feels."
Call back to the Avengers, that, you know, which is also such a great scene. And when we're talking about character development for Thor and taking down his arrogance down a notch, Loki, his arrogance almost never seems to get taken down a notch until the new Loki show. But all times before that, he's still like, even if he gets beaten, he's just scheming for another thing. Like the end of the first one, he was king, and then he like falls into the and he's like, well, he comes back in Avengers, I'm gonna rule the earth, and then he's like, Thor 2, I'm gonna escape from that and then just take over Asgard because I deserve to rule, so I'm gonna rule. That's like Loki's thinking. And so taking him down a notch, Avengers, when Loki's looking at the Hulk and he's just like, "You stupid beast! I am a god. I will not stand for boom, 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 boom." Puny
God.
Yeah, it's like, hey, nothing makes you take perspective on your life like just totally getting shut down like that. Oh man. And that's why as soon as he sees the Hulk, somehow he hadn't seen him in like Thor 3 on Thor Ragnarok. As soon as the Hulk
And he'd
comes
been there
out,
for a long time.
yeah,
Too.
as soon as the Hulk comes
Well,
out,
he'd been
he's
there
like,
for 2 weeks, I think, is what he said. So maybe
So
they don't
Hulk
have
hadn't had a fight in 2 weeks. Come on, he's the
Maybe,
champion.
yeah.
He's the
That's what he
draw.
either way, as soon as he sees Hulk, he's like, I have to get out of here. He's like, I can't stay on this planet. That guy is here. Oh man, that's good. I like that. Thor Ragnarok, the Valkyrie thing. She was good.
I liked it. I thought Valkyrie was
Her
was a
relationship
nice
with Hulk
addition.
was fun. Yeah,
She wasn't too like overpowering. It wasn't like she was there like and in his face all the time. And it was her humor may be a little overdone. Oh, we got to have cup holders because we're all gonna die. So drinks. I'm like,
I did
Get
like
it.
her chemistry with.
You're a drunk. I get it.
Okay.
You
I
got
did
until
like,
I finish
Play it a little
drinking
bit more
this.
subtle, like Tony Stark. Just have a drink in your hand. Drink it. Be drunk. You don't have to say, I love to drink. Another. Anyway, Debbie, you were saying.
I did like her relationship with and chemistry with Hulk Bruce better than Scarlet's or Black Widow.
Oh, yeah?
That one just never made sense to me. I mean, it was okay, but Valkyrie and Hulk made much more sense to me.
I get that. I can see that, and I like
And she
they
never
were
knew who Bruce even was, though. That's the other side of that coin. Is that Natasha was friends with Bruce, helped tame the Hulk, not tame, but like get him out of the. Meanwhile, she only knew the Hulk, and when that was something I liked was when he turned back into Bruce and they meet, and there's like, I feel like I know her, Mean Girl. So that was interesting, and it was interesting. But the thing is, the thing that I found so great about that was seeing like the personality of the Hulk and the distinct personality of Banner, and seeing the Hulk have a personality beyond just mindless rage. I was like, whoa. So now we literally have two personalities, and the Hulk doesn't necessarily have to be. And then they were just like, and now he's just Professor Hulk, and it's just Bruce, but he's big. And I was like, what happened to Hulk though? Is he?
Wait a minute, because they answered that because they went to go find new Thor in Endgame, and Valkyrie, hey, what's up, tiny girl? I think I liked you better one of the other ways. It was like
Any of the other ways.
any of the other ways.
But that doesn't say. But what happened to like the Hulk personality? That's just gone.
Well, and see that makes
me sad.
That makes me sad because he did the one scene where I think it's gratuitous, but whatever.
I was like, let the Hulk out, man. Hulk
And
out.
he didn't even get a showdown with Thanos. Thanos kicked the crap out of him in
there
that
was no
first
redemption.
movie, and there was no redemption for Hulk.
He
I
got
was
to
so upset.
snap, but
Yeah, but once he snapped, that was it. I mean,
Yeah.
even on the battlefield, Avengers assemble.
he does one.
He was
thing.
there
He
for like
jumps in
one
at the-
scene.
Yeah, when they're all charging, he does a jump and punch, and that's like the last time we see the Hulk until the funeral,
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. And he's such
misused.
That's why like we liked him in the Avengers so much, is because we got to see the Hulk go Hulk. You know what he should have done from there? Gotten even stronger. Like, gotten even more powerful, like that Danger Hulk. The reason they shot him into space for Planet Hulk originally was because he was literally a danger to the planet. Like, that's how powerful Hulk could be. So I know there are a lot of people out there that feel the same way, especially after like the tease that they did with the fake trailer they made with the Hulk running to fight. They were like, you tease that. It's one thing to take it away and make that not the plot. It's another thing for him never even to get redemption, never even to be anything other than Professor Hulk after that. And then even there. So, and I guess that's a good question. Since we're on the
But-
topic of the Hulk, is Debbie,
In
what are you
the-
going to say?
In the She-Hulk trailer,
That's what I was going to
he's
say.
back to
She-Hulk.
Bruce.
And so are we
Well,
going
Well,
to
that
see
happen?
even at the end of Shang-Chi, when they were looking at the rings, he's back at Bruce, and that
Right.
all happens post-snap. So
I think his arm was in a sling, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a question there. And wouldn't Hulk be better at healing? So there's still plenty of questions happening about Hulk. He's not done. Mark Ruffalo, by the way, like other people's contracts are done. Like they're maybe they'll come back in cameos or whatever, but for the most part, they're like, Tony Stark, Iron Man. We're not going to see another Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Now there's still possibilities. I'm not expecting to see it, but there's still a possibility for like a Hulk movie or him to appear in other shows as Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and maybe have some of these questions answered, because there's a lot of stuff up in the air with him. Why aren't you Professor Hulk anymore? Why are you just regular Banner? Or can you now just switch at will? And maybe some of those questions will be answered, hopefully, in the She-Hulk, as he's clearly trying to help her through her Hulk stuff.
Her Hulkness.
You
Her
wouldn't
Hulk
like
out.
me when I'm angry. Like that's something I liked about the Hulk, is that there was a danger of pissing him off and then he turns into the Hulk. Like I liked that, and now it seems like that's not even a thing that happens anymore. So I don't know. And they almost even made that happen in the Avengers movie itself. He was almost at that point, because they kept using the threat like, oh, you brought the monster, or they're trying to make him angry, and they do that and it's very effective. It almost takes down the whole hovercraft. But then when he goes and punches that Leviathan, he's like, that's my secret, I'm always angry. I'm like, then why aren't you always the Hulk? It's a great line. It's very cinematic, but it's if you're always angry, then you'd always be hulking out. That's your whole thing. I don't know if you knew this, but you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That's if you're always angry, no one would ever like you. I don't know. Hulkiverse. Ruffalo, Banner, Norton, and Lou.
Well, now there's an issue there, Matt. I'll say this, because Ruffalo and Norton are the same Hulk. They're within the MCU timeline. It's just a different. That's like saying Don Cheadle and what's
Terrence
his name?
Howard.
Terrence Howard being.
And I've always
War Machine. It's just
I've
a
always
different actor.
found things like that interesting, like amusing, because within the universe you have to just pretend that that's the exact same person. But now that they've introduced variants and all that different stuff, it's like, well, maybe that's just a variant. And that's the thing. It's like, no, it's not though. That's in this real world that we really live in. One actor left and they had to get a different person. Okay. That's why they and in the What If, the one that had the Hulk, where all the Avengers die or whatever, they use scenes from the Norton movie, but they made Mark Ruffalo the guy. And I was like, oh, interesting choice. Like, but that would have confused like casuals, filthy casuals. That would have been
People
like,
who didn't know any better.
the Hulk doesn't look like Mark Ruffalo. Because you fool. This is the Ed Norton Hulk. But so that was literally, they said, we're going to use this time period, and since they were animating it, they went with the Ruffalo look for Banner, which again I found interesting, but that kind of sets the precedent of if they were going to do like an Iron Man 1, anything from that, and they were going to reshoot it or do it in an animation style, they would use Don Cheadle's version of War Machine as opposed to what's his face who was actually in it.
Yep.
That's pretty fun. Terrence Howard. And that's just like a fun, kind of interesting little thing. The meshing of the real world with this variant multiverse deal, trying to keep track of it all. And for people that don't follow this stuff week to week all the time, it might be very confusing. Pay attention.
I'm not sure. I know I had seen the Norton one, and I unfortunately watched it again. But what was the
Unfortunately,
Banner?
What
I
was the
didn't
what?
like Norton. I didn't like Norton. What was the Banner one called?
Called Hulk. It was directed by Ang Lee. That was the big thing. Was
What year did that come out?
03, 04 maybe.
Back in the day.
It came out before Iron Man, before the first Iron Man movie.
I may have to look that one up and
It's
compare.
got Nick Nolte,
Nick
in it
Nolte.
as well. Yeah,
Plays his dad. My name's Nick Nolte. And he makes like mutant Hulk hounds. And the Hulk.
He turns
and he turns
Yes.
into like a thunderstorm. Because they were like, we don't know what we're doing with these superhero movies yet.
It was well, he was the absorbing man, basically, is what it boiled down to. Yes, Matt, you're absolutely right. Ang Lee had one really cool comic book style of editing. It looked like a comic book. That movie looked like with the frames and everything, the way it was shot, it was like that looked like a comic book. Yeah,
which I enjoy as well, but it's so difficult to do well. And other parts of that movie were not, like, the plot wasn't great. I still like that movie, but there's parts of it where I'm just like, yikes. And it's harder to do. I think it's hard to do just a Hulk standalone. It seems to be difficult. So
it might be easier now if he's Professor Hulk and he can talk through things. But when you spend half the movie just running around smashing and going Rawr, and there's no real direction or anything, you turn into a Michael Bay movie.
Well, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right.
And obviously your action scenes are going to be Hulk for the most part. Maybe some stuff with him trying not to turn into Hulk. But then the rest of the time you've got Banner trying to like science his way out of things.
I mean, they could have done it. The Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby, they could have done it that way.
As what? What do you mean by that?
Where
the Banner movie. I mean, I haven't seen it, but
you
guys are saying it's hard to do a Hulk movie, but Jesus, how long did that series last?
Yeah, but that was
That's
also
a serial.
That
TV
was a
show. That's
week to week and
villain of the week. You know, that's an entirely different thing than a standalone movie, especially in like the genre and the way that you pretty much have to do a Hulk movie is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing.
And you can only do that so many times before it gets old, before it gets stale. So
I think since they had the Hulk movie, that Hulk movie come out, and Edward Norton's Hulk movie come out, when they were looking at the MCU and stuff like that, they were like, I don't know if we need to be doing a Hulk trilogy. There's already like several Hulk movies out. People get what the Hulk is. That's kind of enough.
I think
because people didn't really know necessarily like some of the other guys, like Iron Man. Like, what is he? Like,
I think he works really well as a not as a backup character, not as a side character so much as well, we're gonna have like in Ragnarok, we're gonna have Thor, but we're gonna have Hulk taking a big spot in that. We're gonna have the Avengers movies, and Hulk's gonna have a big to do. I mean, whether he's Hulk smash or he's fighting a Hulk buster or he's snapping Thanos out of existence.
And that's great because you don't necessarily need to devote tons of time to his like character arc, because for the most part you don't want the arc of the Hulk to change all that much. You want him to be someone who, as a scientist, and then if he gets angry, he turns into this raging monster. We don't want him to advance out of that or regress from that. We want him to be just that, so he can be that. And that way, if he's that in another character's film, that character can still have an arc in their storyline, and the Hulk can function as the Hulk functions. And the thing is, if you're doing a story just about the Hulk, he has to change by the end of it. So he either starts out not the Hulk, and then at the end of the movie, he's getting used to being the Hulk, or he starts as the Hulk, and by the end, something has to have changed. And so that makes it difficult for the types of movies, either standalone and or trilogies that they're trying to do as far as character arcs go. He works, like Dave was saying, much better as an ensemble character. And who else is on the team? Hulk, that guy. Are you nuts? Well, we need him, you know? It's just... But yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to, you know, when they're hopefully bringing the X-Men in, see like Wolverine going up against Hulk and meeting these people. Because there's a comics line where Wolverine's talking to somebody. He's like, there's not many people that can tell you what it's like to take a punch from the Hulk. Because everyone else that's done it is dead. And he goes on to describe it, and it's ridiculous and awesome, but still, yeah. And that's the great thing about the Hulk, is that when he is the Hulk, you don't have control over him. It's kind of like point him that way, like a Claymore mine, like this end forward, like don't shove it over there and let it go nuts. Having that slight control over, like, okay, you could beat up everyone but these guys who are on your team, and even maybe then you'll punch him in the face like he does with Thor. He can take it, why not? Even that level of control was like, that's the max level of control I want in my Hulk, okay? I want him going nuts. And then when he goes back to Banner and they ask, like, oh, how did the Hulk do? Because he doesn't remember it. Thor then goes, yes, the legions of hell, there are legions screaming in hell, thanks to the Hulk. It's like,
but mostly sprained ankles and
sprained
torn deltoids.
Bruises and such. Age of Ultron, baby. But speaking of character progression and characters, and speaking of Thor, which is who we're supposed to be talking about, Infinity War and Endgame, absolutely. Well, did we get help?
Hey, let's do get help. What? Get help. No. Come on, you love it. I hate it. It's great. It works every time. It's humiliating. Do you have a better plan? No. We're doing it.
Get help! Please! My brother's dying! Get help! Help him!
Classic. Still hate it? It's humiliating.
No, not for me, it's not.
Not for me, it's
Get
not.
help!
Oh, still one of my favorites.
And so
Amazing.
then, you know, from there, Infinity War, the rest of his people that he was like, I'm going to save you, and they're now destroyed by Thanos. Loki is killed. No resurrections for you this time. It's like, well, not in the way that you might think. It's not a resurrection. It's just I'm getting pulled out of the timeline because of some goofiness. Loki. Like, you can't stop this guy. But Thor, as far as he knows, has now lost Loki too. Like, everything is taken away from him. His people, his father, his brother, his hammer is now gone too. He has nothing. And he's trying to combat.
Well, what I found, or what I really liked about Ragnarok, was that he found power within himself without the hammer. He never needed the hammer.
So why does he need Stormbreaker then?
Well, I mean,
Because even in Ragnarok, Odin told him, he said, and my brother, this is one of my brother is diehard DC, and because the MCU is Marvel, he doesn't like that. He loves DC. So he said Odin told him, he said that the hammer was just a conduit. It wasn't. It focused your power. You weren't the god of hammers. You're the god of thunder. And then he says, I got to fight Thanos, but I need my hammer back. I need another hammer. And I'm looking at it, and he was saying, hey, didn't Odin just tell him he doesn't need the hammer? Like the last movie.
But even Odin had his spear. I mean, the weapons of the gods are... Maybe it's an important focus. He needs that to focus it. Without that, it's not enough focus. And winning in Ragnarok didn't come down to him winning with physical means. It was literally just setting off Ragnarok. So it's slightly different, but at the same time, I'm exactly right there with you, and I have bigger problems than that. What's this guy Thor going around calling himself the God of Thunder for? And he's shooting people with lightning. The God of Lightning is going to be pissed as hell. Hey, you're supposed to be working with thunder, and all I'm hearing about is you shooting lightning at people. And I just got to say, are you the God of Lightning? No, you're the God of Thunder. Frankly, you should be 2 steps behind anywhere I'm going.
Well, thunder sounds whenever he.
I know, I get it, but I call him the God of Thunder, and it's like.
But he doesn't kill people with his thunder.
It's not. You're constantly shooting people with lightning. Why don't they call him the God of Lightning? But we always see a thunder. I always see lightning, and the thunder didn't kill me. It was that electric lightning. So, just saying. But then, he loses everything. Infinity War happens, and he doesn't. Now, he makes a great showing. We had some of that in the theme song. And when he comes in, he's like, "Bring me Thanos!" And he's got Stormbreaker, and he's chopping people down. And then he actually shows up when Thanos is there, and Thanos has the gauntlet, and Thanos shoots a beam at him, and he just, like, slices through the beam. And that's actually reminiscent. He does that exact same thing with Mjolnir in the first Thor movie, when that destroyer is shooting a beam at him, and he takes the hammer when he finally gets it back, and he, like, thrusts it right in the beam, goes and like knocks it in the head. And then I was like, wow, it's almost like a foreshadowing. But then obviously doesn't kill him, so they lose. And that sends him reeling. He was trying to get revenge. It was like, okay, I lost everything, but at least I can get revenge. And he doesn't. And that sends him spiraling off into Fat Thor.
Thor, what do you know?
Is he asleep?
No. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, that's when he hits rock bottom and just goes into a deep depression.
And a lot of people had issue with that too, because
I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was great. You had Tony who had panic attacks, and he had his PTSD. He also was, hey, look, I don't want to get involved because I've got Pepper and I've got Morgan, and my life's on track now, and I don't want to leave what life I've got. And then you had Thor that became a drunken video game player that gained 150 pounds.
Well, yeah,
in the wrong spot.
Throughout all the other movies, he got knocked down quite a few times, but he always got back up.
Right, and I think too, this one, he lost everything. He didn't stop Thanos. He didn't, even when they went after Thanos, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and he killed him. I went for the head this time. But even he didn't stop Thanos. He lost. Basically, he was responsible for half the population of everything going away, and that's got to weigh on anybody.
Yep. And he takes it very personally and goes spiraling into a deep, deep depression. So much so that he abdicates essentially as king. He doesn't. He basically stops doing the responsibilities of taking care of what little remain of his people, and just hides out in a shack, gets drunk all the time, and plays video games.
Thor, he's back. That kid on the TV just called me a dickhead again.
Noob Master, hey, it's Thor again. The God of Thunder? Listen, buddy, if you don't log off this game immediately, I'm gonna fly over to your house, come down to that basement you're hiding in, rip off your arms, and shove them up your butt!
Noob Master.
Noob Master 69.
Noob Master.
I'm still waiting for, that's another thing that they can one day come back and show, 10 years ago, or 5 years, or whenever they end up making them, 2 years ago. And you see, Loki or somebody on the other end just messing with him. And then put it in Loki series 2, and Owen Wilson's like, you really shouldn't be doing that. It's it's already part of the timeline.
No. You know what it is? It's Captain America. He's playing, and he's
on
learning.
The moon.
He's like, no, he's not on the moon.
Not
he's
yet.
just, he's catching up. He's a man out of time. He's just catching up with the time, and this is one of his indoctrination things: is playing video games.
But I don't think he would be mean.
I don't think he'd say dickhead either.
Yeah, he wouldn't call him a dickhead. Language.
Language.
Just slipped out.
Okay, fine.
See, I keep wanting to play this because I think of Thor and I think of Hammer, and this is Hammer Dance.
You had to get it in there, didn't you?
I found a way. It's titled Hammer Dance. That's all I can think of. Good stuff. But so yeah, that pretty much covers Thor
And Hulk.
and Hulk. We did.
I think we may have
fair
killed
bit talking
two
about-
birds with one stone on that one.
Well done.
Nice.
Woo!
His looks change quite a bit throughout the movies too. I mean,
His hair wasn't quite as long in the first Thor movie.
I didn't like the way he looked in the first movie at all. Hair was too short.
And then
It was a funky color, and then they tried to match his eyebrows and beard to that funky color of his hair, and it just
it wasn't blonde. It was like a
brassy brawn.
yeah.
Yeah, it made him look very weird, and then he got much better looking in
No,
Dark
okay.
World.
They just had him take his shirt off, and nobody could remember.
Oh, I remembered. I mean, you know, the shirt scene was.
I thought he looked good in Endgame.
I mean, me too. It's kind of my style. So.
I know, right?
The dude.
Hey, you know what's hilarious? When we watched Endgame for the first time in the
I think
theaters,
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert passes him. Well, right before that happened, he was walking
Easy
down there,
Lebowski.
and I was like, I turned around to Luke, and I was like, it's like the Big Lebowski. And then, sure enough, here comes Robert. Like, hey, Lebowski, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I called it.
Oh, that's a
Tony
a
had
great
so
movie.
many-
And the greatest thing is multiverse. The guy that played the dude, the Big Lebowski, also plays Obadiah
Stan.
Stane,
Obadiah Stane.
the villain of the first. It's
Jeff
totally
Bridges.
totally different character, but same guy. And I'm just, when I figured that out the first time, I was like, yes.
It all comes
That's
together.
Oh, so cool. So cool. But yeah, so Thor, finishing up on Thor, next time we're going to see him, ostensibly, is going to be in Thor Love and Thunder. That comes out this year, right?
That's November, I believe.
End of this year. So
End
that's
of this
coming
year.
up. Now, we might see something in the Multiverse of Madness. No, we have no idea what we're going to be seeing in that. It might be the Thor we know. It might be a multiversal Thor. It might be no Thors whatsoever. Anything can happen.
It's probably Tom Cruise's Thor.
Tom Cruise is Thor. Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be great? God. They can do anything.
No,
It's not. Oh.
I could see him as Tony, but not as.
no,
not
I
as
can't
Thor.
even see him as
As a-
Tony.
Goof. It's for a multiverse, infinite possibilities. I don't want to see the entire movie like that, but if you give me like a bit where they're doing a comedy, throw that in there. It was, yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, that's not right.
Fine,
Exactly.
whatever.
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts. Why?
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Oh, that's a really useful invention.
Anyway.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so next time we'll see him potentially Thor Love and Thunder, where he's possibly with the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
We could possibly see him in the new Guardians movie too.
And the new Guardians movie, I was gonna
But
say.
that's not gonna be for 23, maybe 2023 or
I
2024.
think they started filming.
And James Gunn said that'll be the last time you see this team of Guardians anyway. So
It could be a different team of Guardians.
yes,
they
Debbie,
said
but it's the last time we're gonna have this team. So
they set all that up at the end of Guardians 2 though. When they said when they had, we lost Chris again. He's just a fuzzy mess at this point.
Oh, poor Chris.
You know what it was? He started ranting again, and
Yeah.
his internet said, "No, not tonight."
The internet is onto him. Oh gosh. What were we talking about? Oh, are you back?
No, the aluminum plate in my head. It's messing up.
Who's they? What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Oh no. What is happening right now? Never had it this bad. It's like every 5 seconds, it's like, oh, yeah, right. Oh, are you trying to do a show right now? You haven't had any internet problems all day, but you're trying to do a show right now? My life.
That's why I hardwired my computer. I got it direct into the router, so I don't have to worry about it.
But not. I have to drill holes in floors, and I don't feel like doing that right now. Anyway, what are we talking about next week? We just talked about Thor or Hulk.
Matt, if you're still there, give us an idea.
Yeah.
You've been commenting all night.
I mean, we could talk about anything in the MCU. We could also potentially talk about stuff outside the MCU. Daredevil. It's a possibility. I don't know if you guys have already seen that since
I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched it?
No, I've watched, like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I
Yes,
haven't even seen
go.
that movie.
Go, Matt.
Howard the Duck.
Bad, Matt. Bad.
It's like asking Deadpool what he would. What would you suggest? Oh, something.
Squirrel Girl. Let's talk about Squirrel Girl.
Is there a film of that?
Not yet, but God help me if they make it. I'm probably going to dismiss that one. Hey, come on MCU Mondays. We're going to be talking about Squirrel Girl. Yeah, I'm sick that night. I got to paint my toenails or something. I don't know.
And we could. Is Spawn MCU or is that DC?
That's Image.
Oh, Image.
Image?
Spawn.
Image or
So we
Dark?
did Blade.
Yeah.
Then I guess we could do Doctor Strange
Ooh, Big Hero 6.
or Big Hero 6.
Just saying, it's a Marvel property.
Let's aim for another hero within the actual MCU for now. So
is Daredevil not considered actual MCU?
I mean, Daredevil's on the table, but since David hasn't seen it, I'm not going to try and ask him to watch the entire rest of the season in the next couple days.
No. We go week
Or
after.
3
You know what?
seasons.
Let's do next week. We can do Doctor Strange. Week after that, we can do Daredevil. That'll give me 2 weeks to get caught up on what I need
Because
to get
they
caught up on.
have announced that there's going to be new Daredevil comics coming out, and what with the Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye and Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Matt Murdock in Spider-Man, I think we're going to be seeing more of those characters.
Yay.
So
Good.
it's worth discussing. So next week, Doctor Strange, though. Boom. Got it.
Cool.
Very much looking forward to that, as we are looking forward to Doctor Strange 2. But for now, we're talking about Doctor Strange, the times we've seen him. And so that would be Doctor Strange, obviously. Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man, right?
Oh, and Ragnarok.
And a
First
little
part
bit
of
of
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. That's
A
right.
little bit of
Yeah.
Ragnarok in there.
He was fun in that one.
Oh, yeah.
That was some of the humor from that movie, was very much with him and Thor, and him just transporting Thor and doing stuff, and the umbrella that Thor had, because that was good. That was definitely
Sorry.
good. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Absolutely. So yes, next week, Doctor Strange. After that, Daredevil, as we anxiously anticipate and wait, Moon Knight, which looks pretty dope. That's coming at the end of March, so we got time to fill. We got plenty of heroes to talk about. I'm definitely excited to talk about Doctor Strange, so that'll be, as always, 9:30 Eastern, Monday night, MCU Mondays. You guys got anything else before we go? Also on Thursday nights.
Thank you. There you go. You got it. Go for it.
On Thursday nights, we have on Geek News Now the Cantina Happy Hour. Is that where
the Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour?
The Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour because somebody's a crybaby somewhere on the internet. Okay, don't worry about it. But on the Cantina Happy Hour, we're talking about, David is the host. He and whoever his guests are talking Star Wars. And right now, what's happening?
Debbie's there. Debbie and Cam from Cam and Focus.
Cam and Focus.
You've been on once or twice. We've also got one of our writers, Chelsea. She's been on once. I've also got
a couple times she's been on.
A couple of times. We've got some people lined up that are wanting on. So
the link is go to the YouTube page.
Go to the Geek News Now
YouTube page on Thursday, and it'll be there, or it'll be up on the Facebook page on Thursday, if not sooner.
Yeah,
but it'll always be there, just like ours is. On Mondays, you got MCU Mondays. On Thursdays, you've got the Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour, and they're talking all about Boba Fett right now because that's what's happening in Star Wars.
I gotta say, Boba, this is one beauty of a ship. Not crazy about the name, though.
And
okay, I need that clip. I'm gonna have to go find that one.
So make sure to tune in on Thursdays for that, and on Mondays for MCU Mondays. That's all happening on Geek News Now, your source for awesome geek news. Now, we'll see you next time.